Well, Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg joins us now. This isn't a promise from the coalition government, though, is it? This is an election pledge by you as leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Yes, that's right. So we've done a number of things as Liberal Democrats in government already. So last week we announced, Jo Swinson, the Liberal Democrat Minister, that we're finally implementing, it's now available to everybody, flexible working. That's really helpful for carers. So they can ask employers, but you know, also what we did in government, we put aside £400 million to fund respite breaks, and as you know, there are millions and millions of people who are caring for people they love, who they care for, who are getting under-recognised, not being given enough support, who desperately sometimes need a break.
We just heard from Desmond there, who's heard what you're suggesting, and he's saying it's a nice gesture. That's not what he needs. He doesn't need £250. He can barely make ends meet. Is £250, as you're suggesting, going to go on a treat, a trip, a way out, or is it going to go on more bills?
Well, as I say, firstly, we've already put aside £400 million during this government to fund respite care for people like Desmond. But what we're saying is, of course, £250 a year is not a sort of magic wand solution to all the pressures that people face, but it can help. And crucially, the money will go directly to carers so that they can decide how to spend the money. They could use it, for instance, to ask someone else to fill in for a short period of time so that they can take a break. They could ask someone to come in and help them clean up the house. There's all sorts of things they can do with that money. And that is in keeping with a lot of the changes we've done in the care system, in pensions, putting money directly in the hands of people who need the help so that they can decide themselves.
OK, so there will be lots of people in his position also caring who say, but billions has gone from social care budgets. You know, local council services have been slashed under this government, of which you are the Deputy Prime Minister. And now you come up and say, at the next election, we'll give you 250 quid.
Well, let's be clear. What we do need to do, everybody knows this, is that we need to try and bring the NHS and the care system together. Because what so many people will tell you over and over again is that particularly for elderly folk who end up in hospital, they can't be discharged from hospital because they haven't got enough care in the community to help them. And that's one of the things we're going to do. So over the next period, we're going to be introducing a big multi-billion-pound new system called the Better Care Fund, which will bring health and social care systems together. I think that'll make a really, really big difference. At the same time, as I said, we've made £400 million available to councils, because it's councils who provide the respite, and they're duty-bound to do so. But look, I just think you've got about 1 in 8 adults in this country who at one point or another care for people. They save all of us as a society £119 billion. I don't think we can not afford to help them a little bit, and this is one way of doing so. Every year, 1 million carers will get £250 so that they can decide how that little bit of extra money can help them do the extraordinary things they do for not only the people they care for, but for society as a whole.
While we have you here, we need to ask you about a couple of other big issues, obviously, which are dominating the news this morning. The first is the fact that there is this, well, what people will think of as a terror threat. You know, people going to America today, turning up at airports, facing extra security. Now, what is the threat, and in what way should we be preparing for it?
Well, as I say, obviously, as you can imagine, I can't start providing detailed commentary on intelligence that lies at the heart of this, but it's very important that we work, as we do, with our American partners and indeed with other countries around the world, so that where credible new threats are identified, a response is then implemented in airports across the world, and that is what the announcement in the United States is all about. We will play our part, as will other countries, to make sure that where security checks, and we will have to go through security checks already in airports, can be tightened up. They will be tightened up, and we will play our role in the United Kingdom, as other countries will as well. The hope is that the majority of travellers will not be unduly disrupted, but I hope also people will understand that we have to work together across the world to deal with people who want to inflict harm on us.
And there is an increased terror threat.
There's always a sort of shifting, contest, if you like, where people who want to do us harm are trying to find new ways of doing so. And we need to anticipate that and make sure that our security checks try and deal with the new ways in which they're trying to do us harm. We've been very successful as a world for a long period of time, but we always need to be very vigilant.
The other issue, of course, is Lord Britton and the attention he's been receiving for his knowledge of a 1980s dossier about paedophile activities in Westminster, a dossier that apparently was destroyed. Do you think there's been some sort of cover-up, and what sort of investigation would you like to see on this?
Well, I think the most important thing I want to see is I want to see the police getting to the bottom of what what is alleged to have happened, which is absolutely horrific at some of the children's homes up and down the country. And there are a number of police inquiries already going on into a children's home in the northwest, in southwest London, and so on. And I really would say to anybody who has any evidence, knowledge, or information about what happened of a criminal nature, please get in touch with the police. They're the people who can do the job so that justice can finally be done and these very, very serious allegations can be looked into. As for, Leon Britton's obviously explained, I can't provide you too much commentary on what happened in the Home Office in the mid-1980s, but he explained that he passed on this dossier. The Home Office explained last year that that dossier doesn't exist, is not in the possession of the Home Office anymore, and that the relevant bits of that information was given to the prosecuting authorities and the police at the time.
Would an inquiry help at this
Well,
stage?
look, I'm like everybody. I just want the truth to come out and justice to be done. And I think when we're dealing with something of such a serious criminal nature, I don't think there's any surrogate, really, for allowing the police to get to the bottom of what happened.
OK.
Deputy Prime Minister, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.